Thank you, Chairman Shelby. Thank you, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein. I appreciate the chance to talk with you about some of the budgetary details relating to the Department of Justice. First, just to follow up on a number of senators who've talked with you about fentanyl and the heroin crisis, I just commend to you the STOP Act, a bipartisan bill led by Senators Portman and Klobuchar. Many of us are co-sponsors, myself included, that tries to deal with some of the issues around the shipment of fentanyl into the United States and strengthen some of our postal inspection abilities. On an appropriations subcommittee where I'm the ranking, we have responsibility for the Office of National Drug Control Policy. It's not the subject of this hearing today, but I do intend to push back on the elimination of funding because I think their HIDA program has been particularly helpful. The Bulletproof Vest Partnership is a program I've long supported, and it's given roughly 13,000 jurisdictions bulletproof vests that are anatomically appropriate, current best technology, where the federal role is making sure that they are high-performing bulletproof vests, and they have literally saved the lives of law enforcement officials, some of whom I know personally from my home state. I'm pleased the request maintains funding for this important program, but the request makes it a carve-out in the Justice Assistance Grants rather than being funded separately, as has been the case in the past. Similarly, the Body-Worn Camera Partnership is a carve-out of the Justice Assistance Grant Program. So effectively, these two programs would cut Justice Assistance grants by $45 million by carving them out rather than having them separately funded, on top of the $71 million cut that's clearly shown in the request. In a budget focused on addressing violent crime and supporting law enforcement, why did the administration slash resources for state and local law enforcement by making the Bulletproof Vest Partnership and the Body-Worn Camera Partnership a carve-out of the larger JAG program rather than funding them separately?
Senator, my understanding is that we have recommended $22.5 million for that Bulletproof Vest program, which I agree with you is important. And as you point out, it actually is consistent with the amount that was allocated in over the last 2 fiscal years. With regard to, my understanding is it's set aside. It is set aside within the Byrne JAG program. So I don't know the technical reasons for that, but I can tell you that I think it's an important program, and you know, the budget does propose to spend $22.5 million on those vests, and if approved, I'm sure we will.
I look forward to working with you to ensure those resources are available in a long-term and predictable way. I just was pointing out that the reduction in Byrne JAG, which I think 50 senators joined a letter opposing a reduction in that, is even greater because these are programs previously separately funded. My hometown of Wilmington is one of a number of cities where we've seen a significant spike in violent crime, and the Violence Reduction Network was an effective, high-impact partnership between federal law enforcement and local law enforcement. Just to give one example, we saw homicide clearance rates jump from below 20% to above 50%, and I want to specifically thank again OJP's Bureau of Justice Assistance and their hardworking team for their efforts. It made possible John Skinner, who is a Baltimore PD leader, coming to Wilmington and coordinating a whole series of different federal law enforcement interventions that were cumulatively very powerful. In your response to my questions for the record in your confirmation hearing, you said reducing violent crime would be a top priority for you, and you'd review the funding mechanisms and available resources. Will you commit to ensuring federal resources continue to assist cities like Wilmington who've partnered, who've made progress, who've shown themselves to be good partners with federal law enforcement through programs like VRN in the past?
Yes, Senator. In fact, John Skinner, I knew John from Baltimore, and I worked with the department in the VRN rollout, and I'm very pleased that the program was effective in Wilmington. We're requesting funding of $5 million for the National Crime Reduction Assistance Network, which is the formal name of VRN, or the Violence Reduction Network. And I think that really is a very important opportunity for cities to consult directly with the department and with national and international practitioners and researchers. People have proven track records and can bring best practices to local jurisdictions, because we have a lot of extraordinarily committed law enforcement officers out there, police chiefs and sheriffs, who welcome the assistance, the insights that can be provided from somebody who comes in and takes a fresh look and brings ideas that may be working in other places. So I strongly support that program. We have a symposium, I believe it may be even next week, a symposium that is part of our violent crime initiative, and I do intend to make that a priority.
Well, thank you. And anything we can do to appropriately partner between federal law enforcement and some of the municipalities in my home state that continue to see sustained, elevated, stubbornly difficult levels of crime. If anything, they've gotten worse in the past year. We have new leadership in the city and in the city police department. We have dedicated law enforcement officers, and our previous chief was also quite responsive, as the VRN success shows. But we need to continue to engage on this, and I appreciate the investment in learning from and carrying forward what VRN was able to do. Thank you.
Thank you.